Good morning, ladies. This will be the first of the two assignments. This is the assignment I want you to do on Monday. This one is going to be just a recap of the different skills we've already learned. We're going to be dealing with selections, we're going to be dealing with layer masks, and we'll probably be dealing with a little bit of an adjustment layer. So, what I want to do is I want to take something from one picture and I want to put it into another and I want to make it look right. Now, I haven't walked through this yet, which means I might be setting myself up for trouble, but looking at them, I think it's going to work out well. So, we'll go from here. I have these two images. I found this nice image of this family. It's a silhouette. They've got, sort of at a sunset, I believe. And the one thing I noticed is they forgot their dog. I mean, how can you have a family portrait without the family dog? So I went and I found this picture of a dog on a hill. Now, obviously, you'll see watermarks all over this. For anything in the future, you want to make sure that if it's, you don't want to just pull images off the internet because they are owned by somebody else and you are actually copyright infringing when you use them. However, one of the exceptions to copyright infringement is for class assignments. For this particular assignment, we're going to go ahead and use it, but I just want to make sure you're aware of that at all times. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this dog out, and we're going to put him in this photo. I'm thinking somewhere right over here, and then we're going to silhouette him like they did with these folks. So I've already saved these two pictures to a folder on my desktop, and I'm going to send you links to both of these. And we're going to scoot over here to Photoshop on mine, and I've got them both open in Photoshop in different tabs. This is the exact same version of Photoshop that you have at the school, so things may look like they're in slightly different places, but it's the same version. So don't forget, you can always open up any of these, and if you can't find something you're looking for, like maybe adjustments is missing or layers is missing, if you come up here to window, you'll see adjustments is there. Mine has a check because it is open. Layers are there. Swatches are there. You can always go through and look through these different things to see if there's anything you're missing, but they should be open. Young, I know a lot of this is stuff we covered before you got here. I'm going to go through slowly. I'm going to take time during this, and I'm going to say, at this point, if you'd like to pause, go ahead and pause, and I'll stop talking for 15 seconds. And that'll give you a chance to pause the video and go work on this stuff on your computer. You can always rewind and go back and forth. Don't worry about things too much. We're going to just go through this, and I want you guys to have fun with this. So we have this, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock my layer. Now, I don't know if I need this layer unlocked. In the top of my head, I don't think I will. However, just out of habit, I unlock layers as soon as I come in. That way, when I do need it, I'm not going, wait, I have to stop and unlock it. I just already have it done. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the dog picture. Again, I'm going to unlock my layer by double clicking and just clicking OK. And I need to select this dog. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to do it by pushing Command plus. And once is enough. You can also come in and use the magnifying glass. And I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my quick select tool. The quick select tool, remember, is the brush up here in the corner with the little dotted arrow around it. I'm going to click on that. And I think, because I need to get in here in the ears, this brush is going to be a little big. So I'm either going to come up here and make my brush size a little smaller, or I'm going to push the left bracket arrow, which is directly next to my P button. I'm going to push it once or twice to get it a little bit lower. Now I'm just going to come in and I'm going to start selecting around the dog. And I clicked and then I let go and I'm going to click again. And the reason for that is if I do something wrong, I'll have a chance to go back. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to draw a little bit more. I'm just going to come in ever so gently and I'm sort of nudging this selection over. Now you see it went all the way over to this leg. It missed that here. Now it's selected, but of course it went all the way along the bottom here and it missed this dog's leg. That's really kind of bizarre. The dog's leg looks like it disappears right here. This, I know the dog isn't standing. Oh, that's his tail. That's why it disappears, because it cuts off. Okay, now I sound like an idiot. All right, we'll skip that. Let's come, and I'm going to push the Alt button. You see the plus in the middle of my cursor? If I push my Option button or Alt button, you'll see it turns to a minus. So what I'm doing now is I'm coming in, and I'm with the Alt or Option button pushed, so it's minus. I'm coming in and saying just remove this part, because I don't want that selected. And you'll see now, I'm selected all the way around the dog, and it looks pretty good. So I missed this part right in here. So I'm going to push minus, and I'm just going to click once, and it looks like it did pretty well. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to go to my refine edge, and I have it on overlay, which like I said is what I like, but any of them are fine. It's not particularly mattering, but I like overlay. So I'm going to click up here. My smart radius is automatically turned on because it remembers me from last time I was in. If I bring this way up, if I bring it way up, you'll see I'm getting this sort of blue halo in between. Make my cursor smaller. See how this blue halo is in here? I don't like that, so I know it's looking way too far. So what I want to do is, if I take it all the way down, I can kind of see a little bit of his leg. Looks like it's getting cut off there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to point it out. See how there's this red that looks like it's coming in on the yellow there? And it's a little sharp on some of these. So I'm definitely going to bring it up some. And too much. And I'm not even looking at my numbers right now. I'm looking to see at what point I think it's looking good. I think I'm going to go with about that. I'm at 1.5 pixels. And I'm just going to drag my brush around here. It looks pretty good, and I'm going to be able to clean stuff up later. This isn't bad because the dog isn't like a collie or something that's got super shaggy fur. I'm just going to make sure that it's selected up in here really nicely. It actually did a really good job on its own, so I don't need to do too much in here. Maybe a little bit right here. Well, that might have been just as bad. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to click off of decontaminate colors. What decontaminate colors does is if I had, say I was selecting a picture of a baseball that was photographed against a green background, and the green will actually reflect the color into the baseball itself, decontaminate colors will try and get rid of that. That's always for something that's being photographed close to something else, so the colors bounce. I know this dog isn't close to the mountain behind him, and the ground behind him was covered in snow, so it's white. I'm not worried about that. The reason I want to turn that off, it really doesn't matter if you leave it on. However, in the options down here, I just want it to say layer mask. However, you'll notice if I turn on decontaminate colors, layer mask is not selected. They won't allow you to do that because he has to create a new layer where it pulls colors out. Since I'm not worried about that, and I really just want a layer mask, I'm going to go ahead and do layer mask. If I needed it, I would choose new layer with layer mask, and I would just have a duplicate layer of the dog. Not a big deal, but not what I need right now. So I'm going to click OK. Now, you can see the dog is a little fuzzy around the edges. I'm trying to think of how I think about that. I think it's okay because if I come in here, you know, they're pretty sharp. The only place I'm seeing anything coming through them is hair. So I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to go to my history. I'm going to go to the bottom, and I'm going to go back up to quick selection. I'm going to go back to refine mask. Remember, I've already set my things here. I did some brushing, but frankly, I don't think it was really needed. What I didn't notice was I do have the shift edge in here at -5. That's from whenever I did something before. That's fine. I'm just going to take it back to 0. And what that's going to do is just move my edge a little bit in. My contrast is a little bit. I'm going to zoom in some. Oops, too much. I zoomed in to the point where I'm looking at individual pixels, and that's too much. I'm going to put my contrast all the way up, and you see how the edge got a bit hard? That's kind of what I want, but not anywhere near that much. Maybe we'll take it to about 40. Let's give that a shot. Still at layer mask there. We'll click OK. I think that'll be fine because we're going to go a little smaller. There is some pixelation going on in here, but I think it'll work out okay. So now you'll see I have my layer and I have my layer mask. I'm going to push Command 0 to bring the dog back out to full screen. And I'm going to hold my Alt button or Option button, and I'm going to click on the layer mask just so I can look at it and take a see. And you see there's a little bit of white mess down here? That's all going to pop in on my video or my other image. So I'm going to zoom in a touch. I'm going to grab my brush, which is here, and I'm going to make sure that black is my foreground color. The brush is a little bit big, so using my left bracket, which is next to the P button, I'm going to make it smaller. And I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to brush this out. Now my opacity is at 80%, which I want at 100, and flow is at 100. So I'm going to come back in and I'm just going to brush these things a little bit cleaner. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, I'd rather take a little bit of time and be a little bit more fastidious about it here than go back later and go, oh, I can kind of see that. I'm going to switch my color from black to white by clicking this arrow. You can also click the X button and you'll see it bounces it, or that arrow. So I want white. I'm going to get that one gone. And I'm going to get whatever this little thing is up here gone. Alright, so I'm going to hold Option, click that again. And I got my dog. Now, if we were doing a regular photo of the people, this picture wouldn't have worked because it's got these watermarks to the dog. However, we're just going to make this dog completely silhouetted. You know, I just realized I've forgotten to do the whole pause thing. Feel free to pause whenever you need to. So, I'm going to grab my Move tool, which is the top tool up here. I'm going to click on the dog, and this is important. I'm going to drag the dog up till I'm hovering over the other layer tab, and then without letting go, I'm going to drag my cursor back down in the middle. You can kind of see this gray outline around. I'm pointing at the screen like you can tell me, like you can see this. But there's a gray outline moving around on the screen, and that's where the other picture is. So I'm going to move that in until my cursor is in this picture, and I'm going to let go. And there I have my dog. Dog is a little bit smaller than I thought dog would be, because right now he looks like a, I don't know, Chihuahua, maybe a Jack Russell. So we're going to make him a little bit bigger. And to do that, we're either going to transform him. And there's a couple different ways of transforming. There is, you can always go up to Edit, Transform, and then there's Scale, Rotate, Skew, Distort, Warp, and all theirs. And there's Free Transform, which is just Command T. I'm sorry, Free Transform's here. Or, you'll notice in CS6, they put, with this tool, with the Move tool selected, there's a button up here that says Show Transform Controls. If I just turn that on, you'll see this box appears. Now, I know we've covered this once in class. I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm going to drag this corner. You cannot drag from the sides or the top and bottom. You can, however, it will skew the dog. No matter what you do, it'll stretch him. I'm going to push Command Z, bring him back. But if I hold Shift and I grab the corners here, I can make the dog bigger. And I'm thinking somewhere about that size. And I'm going to bring him over, and I'm just going to kind of place him. And I'm thinking he's kind of on a downhill, so he might need to rotate a little bit. So if I come up to one of these corners, you'll see how my cursor right now is just a black arrow. When I get up close to the corner, it turns into 2 arrows. When I go just outside the corner, it turns into a double arrow. That's at a 90 degree. That means I can grab it and kind of rotate him a little bit. And it doesn't need to be much. He's not standing on a hill like that, but I'm thinking straight up and down looks a little off, so I'm thinking maybe there, somewhere in that area. Okay, so once I've got the dog to the size I like, and I'm still mentally going back and forth on whether he needs to be a little smaller, but we'll go with that. I can either hit the return button, which is enter on a PC, or I can come up here and click the check. And what that does is it applies the transform. Until I hit return or enter, the transform itself hasn't happened. It means it's potential, but I haven't gone through and done it. So, a couple things I want to show you, and this is something that happens with layer masks. I'm going to turn off my show transform controls. And if I zoom in, do you see this line that's running along the outer edge here? And then it's running down? What that is it's the outer edge of the layer mask that we applied to the dog. On the original photo of the dog, the layer mask went from edge to edge on the photo. However, here, since I've made it smaller and moved it onto the inside, that bit of a layer mask is showing. So all I have to do to get rid of that is I'm going to grab my brush, again with black, because I want to hide it. I'm going to make my brush much bigger by pushing the right bracket arrow, which is 2 buttons over from the P button. And I'm going to, wrong way, I'm going to Command Z. I'm going to make sure I click on the layer mask, because that would be helpful. And remember over here, you see how the brackets are around the picture? What was happening there is I was actually painting on the layer, not painting on the layer mask. I need to make sure to work on the layer mask, I need to make sure the layer mask itself is selected. With the layer mask selected, black selected on my brush, regular brush, I'm going to click and I'm just going to mask that line out. And I'm just going to draw with black all the way around it. It could have made the brush a lot bigger and probably would have gone through a lot quicker, but hey, it worked. So now I have my dog there. Works, right? We're gonna have to make a couple changes because obviously the dog's in color. Now, which way are we want to do that? First things first, we gotta make him black, solid black. So we're gonna introduce something a little bit different. What we're gonna do is I'm going to double click here, not on the word. I accidentally double clicked on the name layer 1. I'm gonna click off. I'm gonna click to the right of the name. If I double click, it's gonna open up this box. Now there's a lot of different things in this box that we're going to go over slowly, or I should say in the future. But the one I want to look for today is color overlay. And I'm going to click here. And you'll see it opened up. I have to click down here. If I just click on, if I'm say I'm up here, and I just click on the color overlay thing, the checkbox, it doesn't give me the instructions. I want to make sure I click on the words. And you'll see blend mode, opacity, normal. But what I want to do is I want to double click here, and I want to take this to black. And I'm going to click OK. And that made the dog black. And hey, how about that? That worked really well. So I'm going to click OK. I sound surprised because frankly, I was afraid I was going to have to make the color shift around. Black is not just black. I know we think of things as being black, but there are warm blacks and cool blacks. And I was afraid that when I would turn this dog black, it wouldn't quite fit in. You know, I was thinking that maybe might be a little bit of cool black and we were going to have to modify that. However, turning him black like that did really well. One of the things I want you to notice, by double clicking in this thing, once I added that color overlay, you'll see it added the words FX here, or instead of the letters FX next to my layer mask. And what that means is it's telling me there's a layer effects added. And down here, you'll see it shows that the effects and color overlay. And you'll notice there's an eyeball next to it. Just like with layers, where you can turn on and off the eyeball to see it, I can turn on and off the eyeball to see the color overlay. I can always click back on the effects again, open this, and I could change a whole bunch of different things. You'll see there's a bunch of them, like pattern overlay. I can make the dog have a pattern, which you can make different patterns, and honestly, I've never seen pattern overlay be all that important. So I could add a glow to the dog. I could add a drop shadow to the dog, which never looks good. Never, ever, ever looks good. Could add a gradient, make them colors, you know, all kinds of different things. Some, I don't use these often, but there are times when they just are the most elegant way of doing something. So I'm going to turn back on my color overlay. I'm going to click on the word color overlay. I think what happened really well is, see how we were already in the reds when I clicked on my color overlay and I chose a black from the reds? I'm wondering if I were to go up to the blues and had I pick something sort of like that, you see how it doesn't quite fit. It's just a little too blue. But it looks like solid black whether I'm in the blues or in the reds. Either of it seems to be working really well. So, but that's essentially it for this particular one. We've selected the dog. We've added a layer mask. We've moved him over to this new thing. We transformed him using the transform controls. And I can always grab my move tool, make sure this layer is selected, and I could always say, you know what, maybe the poor dog needs to be a little bit closer. Dogs are never close, they're always kind of like looking away. So I could always do that, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit just to take a look. He's a little choppy compared to them, but I mean, he has a dog, he has fur. I'm okay with that. So that's the end of the first assignment. I just want you to take the dog, move him over, transform him by size, you know, make sure your layer mask is good. Look for any of those lines coming around. You see when I move the dog over this way, a new line appeared. I'm just going to move that right back off screen. That far. That's where the dog needs to be because I saw my line disappear. And that's it. Now this poor family, these poor two children who'd left their dog at home, have their dog in their picture with them. Alright, so when you're done, make sure you save this out. Save it to your jump drive or save it to your project share if it's allowing you to. Save it. You're just going to go to File. And I want you to just do Save. And what you'll notice is it's going to change it to PSD. And it'll say Photoshop down here. And that's it. I just want you to go ahead and save. And click OK. And we'll take a look at these when we get back on the following Monday. Not tomorrow, not Monday the 12th, but the following Monday. Alright, next video is coming shortly.